When a person arrives in the office, the police department is trying to establish the who, what, and the where, and the last piece to that is the why, and that's where we're at right now, because T.J. Lane has confessed to the crime. Those first 3 or 4 W's are out there. We know about them. They're an unresolved, or they're a resolved issue. The unresolved issue is going to be the why it happened, and the underlying reason and cause as to why something occurred is really what we would be driving at, to fill the void so that this community could get some closure. Not only the community, but also anyone following this case, whether it's in northeastern Ohio or whether it's countrywide. These types of issues present themselves from time to time, and knowing more about what causes a person to act out in this type of behavior is really the key. Trying to reduce the problem with whatever information and knowledge we have is more than critical.
So what would you do if you talked to him at this point? How would you go about it? What would you ask him? What would you want to know?
Well, the first thing I'd probably do is break his life down in stages to find out what may have caused this manifestation of this tragedy. Unfortunately, he seems to have somewhat of a checkered past in terms of his childhood and his teenage years by and through his environment, maybe by no fault of his own. He had a broken family that was severely riddled with assaultive behavior through, as I've read, through domestic violence between his mother and his father. His father was arrested on some serious assault charges and imprisoned. He was raised by others and not necessarily his nuclear family. There are a variety of those types of environmental issues that may have caused then this behavior to occur over a long stream of individual incidents that ultimately culminated in what we now know happened earlier this week, unfortunately.
Are there any specific questions you'd want to ask him, or to answers that you'd want to get at this point? If you were...
Oh yeah, you know, frankly, it may not be one particular thing that caused this trigger. It may have just been a stream of things together. You know, the train of T.J. Lane's life may have been simply derailed as a result of something that occurred toward the end, shortly after his Facebook writing, culminating then in this week's incident. But I'd want to find out all those things that would have led up to what occurred Monday.
And do you believe that it was predictable anyway that he could have done this?
I think this was spontaneous personally. I think it was an act of an issue that ended up triggering his behavior that we'll probably have a hard time determining, and he himself may have a hard time actually identifying with as being one particular situation that caused it to happen. But I think there are a series of events that have occurred in his life that ended up then manifesting.
And that's basically just your opinion on what you've seen. You have no connection to the case or have talked with any law enforcement.
No, just
no,
I don't have.
Expert as in forensics that would lead you to believe that.
I have no connection to this case other than just many cases through the years that I've been involved in that seem to have similarities. You know, the best historian in this case is T.J. Lane. And some cases, that historian doesn't exist because the person who acted out either commits suicide or they're taken out in a gun battle at the scene.
How important is it to ultimately get an explanation from him?
Oh, I think
community.
I think it's critical. The community has to be at rest and at peace in their own way, and T.J. Lane holds those answers.